Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the Supplier Spotlight Podcast. My name's Liam Ball. I'm your magical wedding host, also known as the Gentleman Magician. Now, this podcast exists to shine a light on the very best people in the wedding industry, with sharp minds and people that you absolutely want on your side when it matters. Now, today's guest fits that brief beautifully. They're a wedding planner and events known for organisation, attention to detail, and their ability to bring order, elegance, and calm to even the most complex of celebrations. They work closely with couples to turn ideas into well-run, thoughtfully planned events, and always focus on experience, flow, and removing stress from the process. So it gives me huge pleasure to welcome Naomi from Payton Events to the podcast. Hello, Naomi. How are you?
Hi, very well, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. Yes, and how are you? How are you finding this winter weather?
Oh, not great. I'll be honest. This morning I woke up. I felt like it was still dark. It was miserable out there. Yeah, hoping it clears up a little bit. Not the best.
You and me both. You and me
Yeah.
both. Well, listen, let's dive straight into it, Naomi. Obviously, you're a wedding and event planner. How did you get into being a wedding and event planner, and how did Payton Events, of course, come about?
So it all started probably from birth, really. I was born into hospitality. My mum was a caterer. She did a lot of wedding catering and all sorts of different events. So our kitchen at home was always full of food. Planning was pretty much what she did day in, day out. So I took a lot on board from that. I worked for her for most of my young childhood, growing up into teens, and I stayed in hospitality. I stayed in events and weddings predominantly. Pretty much from there onwards. And I think I've always known deep down that I wanted something of my own. I own my own business. I once thought about a coffee shop as well, because I used to run and manage a coffee shop. So
Okay.
that was a thought. But I think it just naturally, it was a progression that I've, worked for people for many years. I want something of my own. I've always wanted something. And I've been in the wedding industry and kind of had that experience. So yeah, it was just a natural. I think it was always meant to be.
Get you. So you essentially started working in the hospitality industry. Have you ever done anything else?
No, not really. No, events, hospitality. Yeah, I think everything tailors all around that.
That's fantastic. So, but pre being a wedding planner, then, what was your favourite part of working in hospitality?
Wow, so many things. Every day was completely different. Especially the people. So even just going down to the staff members and the culture of, you really have to get to know people quickly because you're thrown into situations where you're having to make big decisions and come up with solutions. So I think it was just a love of being around people and creating connections quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I know what you
fun.
mean. Do you know? I always I've got a history myself in catering. I was an army trained chef.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of the things that always makes me laugh is when you see people like, I mean, it's a great example is Gordon Ramsay on the TV. And a lot of people kind of think, gosh, he's putting that on for the camera, right? He's got to be. But I think those hospitality environments can be really highly charged, can't they?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So,
Very
yeah.
stressful at times. Yeah.
There's a lot more truth in that than people realize. So how did you make the transition then from just being in, for want of a better phrase, general hospitality to going into being a full-time wedding and event planner?
Yeah, so I went through a transition of quitting a full-time job that, enjoyed, but it led to a bit of burnout towards the end. And then I went into freelance work for a couple of years, actually, probably 2 years, where I continued to do hospitality, worked more on a freelance basis for wedding venues, which I've, managed wedding venues beforehand full time, but this is on more of a freelance basis. I got married myself as well, so I planned my own wedding. So that really, once I got married and had planned my own wedding, is when Payton Events was born. I had more time because I was freelance, and I just started the business proposal and the reasons why, and all of that came from, as I say, getting married and being freelance, having a bit more time.
So essentially, you did it for yourself, and then after that, you thought, I enjoyed that. I can do this for other people.
Yes, yeah, and it's quite a lot of planners go down that route as well. I've had planned weddings for couples for many years from a venue perspective.
Yeah.
And it was just doing it for myself, just brought new nuances that I wasn't aware of, and learned a lot more. Because there is so much more to it from not just from a venue side. So yeah, I was able to do that for myself. And that since, from that early stages, I was able to do it for friends and family as well. And then, just develop from there.
Fantastic. So for anybody out there who doesn't know what a wedding planner does, how would you describe what you do in the run up to and on the day of a wedding?
Yes. So a wedding planner from start to finish really takes over all of the logistical, admin responsibilities. And this is before the wedding day. So come on board right at the beginning for the couple, take over their, venue sourcing, supplier sourcing. We would then give proposals to the couple. This is what we've come up with based on who you are, and we would have already found out everything about the couple and kind of what makes them tick. Tailor the supplier and the venues to them, give them proposals, and then book them for them, take over all of that communication, and really just taking so much away, all of that stress and admin on the run up to the wedding day. Nothing is forgotten because, we're doing it all for them. With them at they are the decision makers at the end of the day. The couple, it is going to be what they want. We're just, helping them and guiding them along that journey. And then on the day, especially, it really is a no-brainer to have either, a wedding planner that you've had from the start, or to have a coordinator, someone that is truly there for the couple and their guests. You have venues that look after the venue side of things. We look after the couple, everything that they need on the day, running timelines, liaising with the suppliers, keeping everything on track. Problem solving is huge because they do happen, and having someone there to make it, so that you never even knew it was a problem is invaluable. And it's something that we, love to do as well. Yeah, love
I think that's something that people really underestimate, isn't it? The kind of problems that you can get on a wedding day.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I mean, I know I've been to a wedding. I definitely one that I talk about quite a lot. So I went to a wedding, and just before the ceremony, I looked at the best man and I was like, "Do you know that you've got a hole in your trousers?" And he went, "Yeah, I bent over this morning and they split, and I just haven't had time to fix them." And I was like, "You can't." In no photograph can you hide that hole.
Yeah.
And he went, "Wow, there's nothing I can do." I was right. Get your trousers off. Get the sewing kit out. And he was like, "Really?" Yeah. So I think it's I think it's one of those things, isn't it, that people really underestimate. Having somebody on side can take all of those problems and stresses away. What's been the funniest thing you've ever had at a wedding where it's just been a case of, wow, but I know what to do?
Goodness, so many. I think more recently I can remember we with actually in the last couple of weeks with the snow and the ice, we had issues with sheet ice and boiler problems from a venue side, but also sometimes we have to get involved in these things. And I had to call plumber, was getting sand and grit out onto this sheet ice just to help because of how much of it was quite a big issue. So, we are there to help in any capacity that's needed. And actually that morning the bride came in and she just had to deal with a cyclist who had fallen over and half of his face was grazed and cut. So she had to call an ambulance in the morning and then arrived at the wedding venue with sheet ice and no boiler. So we dealt with all of the problems and she was amazing, kept her calm. It's being able to, in that moment, go, right, this needs solving. We're all good. I'm going to sort it. Don't worry, we've got it. Off we go and we sort it. And in terms of that, where you keep the couple and the bride especially, they don't really need to know too much. They're just nice and relaxed and calm. And you get ready. Do you want a glass of champagne?
That's right.
And we will sort this for you. And you just keep going on to the next problem and the next problem.
Yeah, it's like that analogy of a swan, isn't it? You're calm on the surface, but your mind's doing 1,001 things all at once. But what do you think in your? I mean, obviously, I know there are some brides and grooms out there who are very much from day one, when they decide they're going to get married, they're like, right, we want a wedding planner. Let's go and find one of those right now. But I think in my head, those are perhaps maybe the minority of people. What do you think is the moment where most couples think, oh gosh, we really need to hire a wedding planner?
Yeah, so I think it's, as you said, it's probably a minority. You even know quite soon, even before you've gotten married, it's something that you're like, right, I don't actually want to have to deal with this wedding planning, headache. They may have heard from previous family and friends how intense it was for them, so they know quite quickly. There is also potentially another group of people that would start, that maybe at the back of their mind think it'd be lovely to have a planner, it'd be amazing, but let me just try and dip my foot in and see how far I can get. And then probably quite quickly within the first week or so, it becomes very, very overwhelming. I think it's very overwhelming for anyone that even doesn't have a planner, because there is so much choice nowadays. You can just get stuck in a Google black hole of looking and looking and looking. And then you don't know the answer to your questions. You actually end up with more questions and more things that you're worrying or thinking about. And this is in the first week. So there is, I'd say very quickly, even if they do start themselves, they will they'll go back to the planner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's something I think you've hit the nail, isn't it? Choice paralysis is real.
Yeah.
Because I think also as well, there's definitely maybe a large percentage of people out there who think, right, photographers, well, a photographer's a photographer. But of course, we know they're absolutely not. That every single one is different. They've got a different style, a different personality. So what do you think is the biggest misconception that couples have about planning a wedding?
Why, when they plan it for themselves? That it's all roses, and it's going to be, the planning side of things is just going to be the most amazing experience, because it definitely can be. But I think if you go in maybe a bit blind, or don't have the resources and the support to help you along the way, then it can become overwhelming, and it's difficult, because you then also have, at times you've got family and friends involvement that you haven't asked for, and they can lose track of actually what it is that they want, or what it is that they're trying to create, and also lose track of the fact that you're having a wedding to your best friend, your partner, and that can sometimes get lost, which I think is sad.
I mean, in all those things, what do you think is the biggest stress people have?
Possibly outside opinions.
Yeah. And
They'll
there's pressure, isn't there, to do this or you do that, or goodness, why are you doing that?
Yeah. And also just the traditions that have been set in stone for many years, that you see on when they're researching online. You have these traditions that that someone may look at that and go, actually, do you know what? That doesn't feel right. That doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
And it's just having that core priorities and values in yourself to be able to move past those opinions, or things that you don't want in a wedding anymore, that maybe people have for many years.
Or maybe even things that you do want that people will think, gosh, why are you doing this? So I think that's, I had a wedding once where the brother-in-law of the bride, interestingly enough, was a toastmaster, but he was there on the day as a groomsman. And she said just before the speeches, I think I'd like to make a speech. To which I said, okay. And he kind of peered out from across the table and he went, don't be ridiculous. You're the bride. So, I'm sorry. And I said, no, if you want to make a speech, she said, if you make a speech, I shall catcall you all the way through. And I thought of that, I was like, and I just looked and I went, no, you won't. And he kind of very sheepishly sat back in his chair. And
Yeah.
the hilarity at the moment is that she was the best speech of the day,
Yeah.
which,
I'm not surprised.
which was just great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really crazy thing, isn't it? All that peer pressure about you must do this and you mustn't do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and I think many people lose sight of where a lot of these traditions come from.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if they knew, they think differently. Uh, so what? I mean, you're obviously you're known by the couples that you work for, and of course for what you do, for being sort of really organised in terms of how you approach both the planning and the on-the-day management. So, how would you say? In fact, how important would you say that things like structure of the day and timelines are to the success and the overall outcome of a wedding day?
Huge. And that is something that I do harp on about a lot, which is creating a timeline that works. And that's from experience and many years, in events. And also a flow for the day is another biggie. Um, and that is essentially creating a timeline that your guests are not bored, they're not waiting around. They're not wondering what's going to happen next. It all flows nicely from one part of the day to the next. So that might be from the ceremony through into the drinks reception, time then after the drinks reception for people to be seated. That time for that needs to be allocated. Nothing is too rushed, too forced. There's a lot of pre-planning and a lot of thought that goes into a timeline, and they are all bespoke and individual, but essentially it just creates so much more of a relaxed flow that your guest won't even know that this has been pre-planned within, an inch of its life. They will come, and I have this time and time again when couples come to me and guests towards the end of the night and they say, wow, this has just been so easy. It's flowed so well. We've been moved from place to place with such, flow, and it just oozes well. And that's the goal, so that the guests and the couple don't actually realize on the day that they are being ferried really from place to place, being moved around, being told what to do. It can be quite clinical if you think of it like that. But our job is to make it so it doesn't seem like that at all. And you would know, especially as a host and an MC and moving the guests along, it's done in such a way that they would never know. And that is what flow and timeline really are so important.
It's like having a battle plan, isn't it? We're going to
Yeah.
do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And of course, in the back of your mind, you're also thinking, and if that happens, I'm going to do this, and if this happens, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And if we
Yeah.
get to there and this hasn't happened yet, I'll do it like this. And I think so many. I think that that's probably one of the bits where people really, really do underestimate what the job of planning and,
Yeah.
and executing a wedding day is.
Yeah.
Because I think that given enough time and resource, probably most people would be able to plan a wedding to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah.
But then the actual executing of that on the day, because suddenly they're at the center of all the attention and they're the people in charge at the same time.
Yeah.
And I often feel that that's the part where people really then start to think, oh gosh, what have I done? And of course we
Yeah.
we help to make that much better. So
Yeah.
how do you balance the bit where you're you've got everything planned, everything set, and then we all have to know it's one of those days where just nothing is going to plan, and you
Yeah.
find yourself having to be really firm, but at the same time being really calm and reassuring.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance kicks in?
I think, yeah, as you say, it's definitely a balance. I mean, it's that swan thought process again, is that, you're dealing with, potentially multiple issues or delays in some capacity, and everything above board in terms of how you are communicating with your suppliers, your guests, and the couple themselves is all on a calm I've got this. And I think that's kind of one of my taglines, as I say a lot, is, I've got this. I can handle this. Don't worry, it's covered. And then the other half of the brain is going, right, solution. How can we solve this problem?
Yeah.
Can we move timing slightly? Leaning on suppliers as well is a way that can help me in this situation. Is, they are experienced in their own capacity. If something needs to get moved or changed, I can communicate with them and say, well, how long is this going to take you? I've got a window in about half an hour that you can do this. Is this okay? And they will then be able to give me their input on what works for them in that moment.
Yeah.
So they're definitely collaborative. And I can't necessarily solve every single problem single-handedly. And I think thinking that you can is going to probably set you up to fail. So,
Right.
using, whether it's the venue, whether it's the suppliers, to kind of help come up with a solution is something I'm not afraid to do.
Mm.
So that in, overall, the couple and the guests, I've got this. We're all good. You carry on. Do what you need to do. Even if we need to give an extra 10 minutes for them to sit down, or whatever it might be, these things can get solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Priorities really in that moment.
That says at the end of the day, is that you're, for want of a better phrase, you're leading a team. And you're
Yeah.
all there to get the job done and do it right. And I think that when you're in the position that you are as the planner on the day, organizer, being there, running it, I think everybody sort of looks to you, don't they, and say, right, well, this is what I've got. This is where I'm at. What do you want me to do now?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've definitely had moments where people have gone, right, so this has happened, and you're right. You go, right, I've got this, and in your mind you're thinking, I absolutely haven't got this, but I know what I'm going to do in order to get it. And I think sometimes it's calm reassurance, isn't it, that kind of makes people
Yeah.
think, oh, this is going to be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get to the end of the day and you think, goodness gracious, 15 crises averted and nobody noticed. Success.
Yes. That's the goal. Exactly. Yeah. That is the goal. It happens.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And I mean, having that team around you, I mean, that must give you, obviously the most confidence that there's probably, I mean, in every industry, there's people that you're going to sit back and think, thank goodness I've got them with me today.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Yeah. No, it's helped. It's a team effort. It definitely is. So to have those people with you that that you trust, that you work with the best, is just invaluable. Yeah.
absolutely. So what's your favourite part of a wedding day then?
Um, I would say, probably maybe controversially, probably more towards the end, not because it's nearly over, but because at that moment there is so much thanks and so much love in the air, because everyone is either having, going crazy on the dance floor. The energy is really kind of at its highest at this point.
Yeah.
And you really feel it. For me, it's that feeling of, wow, I have just executed this day exactly how, not always exactly how I wanted it to be, but I always know that towards the end of the day, it's always going to go well. And it's that feeling of, I've just done this. This has been amazing. We've averted many crises. The couple are extremely happy. The energy is high. I've got people coming to me telling me how amazing the day was. And that is what makes it all worthwhile. So it's that moment, I would say, for me, and more towards the end. Yeah.
It's a real big payoff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd agree. I love that moment during the day when, I mean, for me, I've just announced the cake cutting, the first dance is happening, the first dance is finishing, and the DJ goes, right, let's do it. And the music changes, the atmosphere changes, everything erupts and people party on, and you kind of get to sit back and think,
wow. Yeah.
Fabulous. They've had a great time. I've had a great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. So, so here's an interesting question for you. It's the day of a wedding.
Yeah.
You've set your alarm. You're waking up. What's the first thing you're going to be doing that day, and how do you plan your morning pre a wedding?
Cup of tea first off. That would be
tea.
Builders.
Oh, very good.
Drop of milk, no sugar. Yeah.
Excellent.
Tea bag, hot water, and then milk. Tea bag out and then milk. Yeah.
Do you know? Right. So do you know what? This is funny now. So QI did a thing on this a little while ago where they said what should be first, milk or tea, and it turns out that everybody gets it right. Because if you
Yeah.
make the tea in a pot, you pour the milk in the cup because the tea's already brewed. You've got to brew the tea and then add the milk, and
Yes.
actually it makes no difference at all after that, does it? You better brew the tea first.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Brew
There you
first.
go, people. You heard it here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a cup of tea first.
Cup of tea in the morning.
Yes. What I would have most likely done the night before, I would have done the night before, is have everything ready in terms of printed out schedules, outfit ready to go, ironed, pack the car, and then it's tea, it's breakfast. Always have breakfast in the mornings. I would most likely check my phone for any, urgent notifications from any suppliers. I will message the couple, happy wedding day. Please don't reply, but I'll be with you soon. Just a quick happy wedding day message so that they know that I am up, ready, and on the way. So that's always nice to know, isn't it? That I'm not, alarm hasn't gone over and I haven't snoozed. The wedding planner she's on her way. That's great.
Planner's on the way. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice to know. And then leave plenty of time and on the way. So it's pretty easy for me. It's tea, breakfast, check in with a couple. Everything else would have been pre-done the day before, or the many months before. Yeah, no other special routine or ritual currently.
Fair enough.
That may change.
Hey, listen, a cup of tea in the morning and making sure you had her the night before, that's pretty ritualistic enough, I think. But at least it means that you can wake up in the morning without you haven't got to do anything, you haven't got to stress anything, you can just get up and you can focus and you can crack on straight away. So if there's people out there now who are listening to this and have thought to themselves, I think I need a wedding planner.
Yeah.
Beyond the very obvious news of get in contact with Naomi, what advice would you give them?
So there is a wedding planner out there for everyone. In terms of the many different types of couples that we have, or the different styles of weddings. So what I would suggest is always look at your top priorities in terms of what you want your wedding day to look like. Whether that is you are prioritizing a certain venue, that might be a marquee, that could be a country house. Whether you are looking at food's really important to you, food and drink, wine, whether it be the decor. For me, a lot of my couples come to me because they really want kind of bold experiences, exceptional hospitality, and just something that runs seamlessly on the day for them, and that high energy that brings everyone together on the day. And if that's what you're looking for, then you'll find it through research. Looking at different wedding planners offer different specialities, whether it be they are specializing in marquee weddings. I just mentioned what I specialize in, the high energy, the bold decor. It may be someone that specializes in multicultural weddings or intimate weddings. So it's finding your priorities and what it is that you would like in a wedding day, and then you can really tailor your search for a wedding planner based on that. Because it may be a personality trait that you're looking for. You want someone that is, it could be a larger than life wedding planner. It could be more of a positive, calm, kind wedding planner, which is what I would associate myself as. Someone that just gets it done, tells you how it is, but isn't going to scream and shout. And if once you know those priorities and what you're looking for, even in a wedding style and a person, that's going to make your search a lot easier.
Fabulous. So one last question for you then.
Yeah.
You've got a couple, they come to you, they've decided to work with you, and then they say to you, hey, Naomi, we've had a think and we want to do this on our wedding day. And you go, yes. What's that moment for you?
Well, how does it feel? And what is that?
What is it? Yeah. What's the thing that people do that you think brilliant? I love that. I love that.
Oh God, there's so many. When the bride wants to do a speech, like we just said, absolutely love that. All here for that. I think when they when they want a wedding, for me, it's actually more when they want a wedding day, and they come to me and they say, we would like a wedding day that literally is all about us, who we are, how, our bold personalities, crazy glitter decor, or they want a wedding day that really screams who they are.
Yeah.
And that could be in the middle of a forest somewhere, it could be in a castle, it could be abroad, whatever it might be, it's undeniably authentic to them. That's what lights me up. And then I can start getting creative with them about how we're going to do that then. Let's do that. So yeah, maybe that's more of an overall thing, but that I'd say is what lights me up.
Unapologetically authentic.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All about them and who they are. Because that, for me, that's transportative into their guests. Knowing on the day itself, when you have a wedding day where the couple are so relaxed and at ease because everything around them is tailored to who they are, their personalities, what they like, what they, their life loves. It does, there's a snowball effect on the guests. They can see that, they can feel it.
Yeah.
I think, it's definitely that feeling for me, and being able to give them that feeling is huge.
And of course, it's 2026, and that's what weddings should really be about. It's the joining of two people and the sharing of their life and love. So,
yeah.
And that's fantastic. Listen, Naomi, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me today. And let's catch up soon. Take care.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there you go, folks. If there's one thing that really comes through from this conversation, it's just how much care, clarity, and calm a wedding planner like Naomi can bring to the process. Now, weddings really do work best when they're well thought out. They are well run, they become genuinely enjoyable, and none of those things happen by accident. So if you're currently planning a wedding and you want somebody in your corner who understands structure, flow, and importance of getting the details right, I can wholeheartedly recommend that you go and find yourself a wedding planner, and also get in contact with Naomi. I'm sure that you will really enjoy doing that, and I'll make sure that her website and details are attached at the end of this video and also below the podcast if you're listening to the audio. To everybody who's listening, thank you so much again for tuning into the Supplier Spotlight podcast. Your time is always appreciated. There are plenty more brilliant conversations with exceptional suppliers coming your way very soon. Until next time, plan well, choose your suppliers wisely, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.